Hey guys, Thrasher here. Today we're looking at the ranged powerhouse Super Saiyan Gotenks. Let's talk about it right now. Okay, so Super Saiyan Gotenks is a ranged purple damage dealer. He specializes in burst damage. Let's look at his stats and get a better understanding of how he works. Okay, so if we look here, we can see that his health is pretty decent. He has the 11th highest health in the game. That doesn't make it amazing, but it's also not terrible. Now, the issue is his strike defense and his blast defense are not good, and he has no abilities that help increase his defense in any other way. So he's actually a fairly flimsy unit, even though he has reasonably good health. But on the other end, his blast attack is amazing. It's number 1 in the game. His strike defense is also very good. It's top 10. I think he's 8th. And then his key restore speed is very good and gets even better once we look at his abilities. One more thing to look at before we actually look at the abilities themselves. As we go down here, we do see that he brings 2 blast cards to battle. That will factor in a minute, so remember that. And then he is Hybrid Saiyan, Super Saiyan, Fusion Warrior, and Fusion. Those are also very important. We'll talk about those more in just a second. Okay, so if we go over to ability, we're going to see a few things here. One, his main ability, nothing crazy about it. It draws an ultimate arts card. We'll talk about that a little more in a minute. It's very powerful in the sidestep nerf meta, like I've said in many other videos. Let's open the Z ability. The only issue I have with the Z ability is that it's going to be more powerful in the future as opposed to right now. There are only really 2 Fusion Warrior characters. There's this Gotenks and Gogeta, both very powerful characters. You can put them on the same team, but there aren't really full fusion teams you can run yet. In the very near future, this will be much better. Right now, it really only buffs Gotenks in a Hybrid Saiyans team, which is normally the team he's going to be in. Now, let's go down to the 2 major things that give him his burst damage and his ability to just pump out damage in general. Okay, so 50% to own key recovery. Every time character enters the battlefield, this effect is cancelled when attacked by an enemy. And then the other thing is 40% to blast damage inflicted from battle start for 20 timer counts. So this character can do a ton of damage with blast cards, which means it's good that he brings those 2 blast cards into battle. But one thing you have to factor in is the majority of his damage with blast is going to be in the first 20 timer counts. Now, 20 timer counts at first seems fairly short, but when you get into battle, you realize that it can last for quite a while, that first 20 timer counts. So he doesn't have to lead into battle. You can use someone else and then bring him in. But keep in mind, as the battle goes on, he will be far less effective. Now, the large majority of his damage is actually not going to come from blast, even though this blast damage buff is very powerful at the beginning of the fight. So now let's go over to arts and really look at how the character is going to work outside of just doing blast and strike attacks to get your sustained damage. We'll go over to arts, and the real key to this character is this green card right here. So we'll look at that in just a second, but let's just open the strike and the blast to see that they are standard impact damage. Nothing crazy going on there. And now let's look at these 3 cards right here. So the first thing I want to do is open this green card. What it does is it increases the damage of the special move, which is this Galactic Donut up here. We'll look at that in just 1 second. But as you use these green cards, the first one is going to increase the damage by 50%. The second one doubles the damage, and here's the huge thing. It has a 70% chance to inflict faint. So essentially what happens is you hit them with the Galactic Donuts, they get fainted, they take a ton of damage. If they're not dead, your Gotenks is going to have the ability to sit there, charge his ki back up, and then start another onslaught of attacks before switching to a different character. So let's go ahead and move up here and look at Galactic Donuts. It deals massive impact damage, so standard, same damage as your strike and your blast normally would, and inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade minus 50% to vanishing gauge recovery for 10 timer counts on hit. So essentially what that means is after you use this ability, your opponent obviously is going to get to respond because this is pretty much a combo ender, and then if you don't hit them again, their vanishing gauge will not come back for quite a while. Let's go down and look at his drawn card, his ultimate arts card, Super Ghost Kamikaze attack. So it deals major explode damage, and there's a 40% chance to inflict paralyze. So if we go back up here and look at this, you can use your Galactic Donut, and once you've used green cards, your Galactic Donut has a chance to faint. Beyond that, your ultimate card has a chance to paralyze, which in my opinion is probably better than faint. Yes, faint is awesome because it gets you to start another combo, but paralyze can happen for a very long period of time as opposed to fainting your opponent once. Paralyze is probably the most annoying ability to deal with if you are the person that's paralyzed, because you may be trying to use an arts card, you may be trying to use a vanishing step, and then all of a sudden you get paralyzed right before you can do it, and you can't do anything, you just get hit. So overall, you can see from the kit here, the key to this character is getting him in, getting him powered up, doing very quick burst damage, and then switching out to a different character. He cannot take damage. That's one thing that I really want to stress here, is he's not a glass cannon. He's not super flimsy like, say, Purple Scouter Vegeta, who can still do reasonable damage, but if you hit him twice, he just falls over and dies like the old man that he is. He can take a couple hits, but he is absolutely not a durable unit. So with that being said, what teams does he fit on and where does he fit in the meta? He's still a very, very powerful unit. He can deal out a ton of damage. He fits on the Hybrid Saiyan team, which is a good team right now, and he's going to fit on the Fusion Warrior team, which is going to be extremely powerful in the very near future. We have lots of Hybrid Saiyans coming, and we have lots more Fusion characters coming in the next couple banners. So I see this character getting better and better and his team getting more robust. So I don't think he's going anywhere in the meta in the near future or even midterm. I think for the next few months he's going to be a very, very good unit. With that being said, his equipment is very good right now, but it could be better, and I think it's going to get better as we get more Hybrid Saiyans and more Fusion units in the near future. One more thing to mention, if you do run him on a Hybrid Saiyans team, a very powerful matchup that you can set up right now is running Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, this Gotenks, and then the red Super Saiyan Trunks, just because it gives you the purple, purple, red. You have the two super powerful purple units, one that's fairly tanky as your Anchor Gohan, one that does a ton of burst damage in this character Gotenks, and then you have your counterbalance, which is your red unit, your Super Saiyan Trunks, that can kill any yellows that try to come after your purples. So that's a very powerful matchup for this team in general, and that's all I have for this video. If there's any different ways that you guys run Gotenks or different ways that you use them, throw them down in the comments and let's talk about it. And if you like this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.